Hello and welcome here on LATOKEN Venture Capital TV. My name is Javier. I'll be your host for today. And like every session, we strive to bring you the innovation, technology, and solutions you want to hear about. And you get to hear it directly from the CEOs or the founders of the project. It's a great opportunity to make your questions, send us your comments. Before we move on to the interview, as a reminder, you can see our previous shows and content by visiting latoken.com/VCTV/shows. You can also follow us on our socials like Facebook, Twitter, and if you're watching us on YouTube, just hit the subscribe button and you'll always be informed of great content opportunities and even giveaways. And important, please remember that anything mentioned here is not any type of financial advice. Do your research before making any decision. It's your choices and your responsibility. With that said, today I'm very glad to present a great project, Qredo, represented by the CEO, Josh Goodbody. And with that, I will introduce you to Josh. Josh, how are you?
Great to be here. Thank you for having me, Javier.
Okay, great. Now, welcome to the show. So we have a quite an interesting show because you made a competition that the people, the traders, should drop you some questions, and the 10 best questions will win a
hmm
certain amount of tokens. So those people have been selected, and I understand that you're gonna disclose later on who are those winners. However, the questions we will address them today on the show.
Great.
Uh, Hopefully, we will have enough time to also receive live questions, but we're not sure of that. So we'll see how things develop. All right, Josh, you okay with that?
Absolutely. I'll try and not waffle on for too much so we can get some questions in. We'll see how we get on.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Now, to begin with, Josh, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and the team?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Josh Goodbody. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Qredo. I guess in a nutshell, Qredo is a provider of fully distributed infrastructure for the custody and settlement of digital assets. And, we've taken this radically different approach to the business of custody and wallets. And the aim of everything that we've built in the Qredo network is primarily to remove single points of failure by acting or putting custody onto a distributed layer 2 blockchain. And that blockchain is called the Qredo chain. It acts as the asset tracking and the ownership ledger. And we've paired this blockchain first technology with the latest generation of multi-party computation. You may or may not have heard of it. Multi-party computation is the gold standard in cryptographic security. Our technology is called consensus-based trustless MPC, which we call DMPC, distributed MPC. And that also operates on a distributed network of nodes. So all of this functionality is open source and open platform. It's available for retail users, for institutional users. It's really available to anyone who wants it. We really believe in open networks and open platforms, and that's a big part of our ethos. So we are taking custody and really trying to disrupt it. We think there's a better way, and that better way starts using decentralized infrastructure. Now, alongside this infrastructure platform that I'm talking about, we also have a token called the Qredo token, QRDO, if you're Googling it. That has been out for over 6 months now. We originally launched that token on CoinList, and since then we've been listed on over 22 different exchanges, both centralized and decentralized. So lots to talk about. Really happy to be here and happy to answer the questions.
Great, fantastic. So you might have already answered part of these questions, but I would just like to raise it once again. What is the problem that you foresaw and motivated you and your team, the co-founders, to start this project?
So if you look at the custody market today, or what the wallet market even, whether it's a custodial solution or a self-custody solution, there is always some kind of single point of failure. Now, whether that's in the vendor that provides the solution, so you put your assets into an exchange, the exchange has all the private keys to your assets, you put your assets with a custodian, they hold a shard of the keys, or they have the ability to control your assets, through to even you having a self-custodial wallet, and that single point of failure being you losing your seed phrase to recover your wallet. Throughout the market, there is this plethora of problems. So we think it all starts and finishes with the way that we hold our digital assets. So custody is the main problem that the industry faces from a scalability perspective, as well as a security perspective. So we've gone out to fix that by using decentralized technology. And we put custody onto a blockchain because a blockchain is a network, and a network is much more difficult to compromise than a vendor. And backing that up with the latest in cryptographic security with MPC, we think that this is the foundational infrastructure for what we hope will be the growing plethora of projects using digital assets in Web3 and the Metaverse.
Okay, I understood. Thank you for that answer. Let's go back to the token that you mentioned that you had, that it was launched 6 months ago approximately. How does the token get involved in the whole project and the ecosystem?
Yeah, so the Qredo token is, I guess you could think about it like the fuel within the
Okay.
network. It's the internal fuel, and we're a proof of stake network. We are built on a fork of Tendermint. So we have, of course, validator nodes that operate and govern the network. There is a utility token called the Qredo token, which is part of the overall validator mechanism. I use stake to a validator, and validators themselves hold a stake of Qredo. Qredo itself is increasingly being used for other parts of the ecosystem, from paying fees through to being able to stake to validators to generate a passive income stream, so staking income. So really, Qredo is being increasingly incorporated as a utility mechanism within the Qredo network, and it's really the internal fuel for the overall network.
Okay, and what can investors expect if they were going to purchase the token?
What can they expect? Well, today you can buy the Qredo token on a number of venues. Of course, do your own research. This isn't investment advice. But what you can do from a utility perspective with Qredo is be part of the overall community and participate in what we will have very soon, which will be governance votes on the direction of the network. What things do we prioritize over others? Having a say in the future development of the network, being able to, for example, be part of the way that we incentivize users on the network by enabling people to vote on the kind of fee levels that they see at the layer 2 level or for withdrawals. So having a stake in the Qredo project. But in addition to that, because we're a proof of stake blockchain, you're able to stake your Qredo with a validator, and the validators will be sharing their staking income or their validator income with you, the token holders. So there's a number of ways to get involved in the overall Qredo blockchain.
Okay, great. And a reminder to our viewers, to learn more about the project, please go to Qredo.com, as you can see below. Get to know more of the project. You can get involved. You have the information about the governance, solutions, the wallet, and different documentation. Strongly recommend you to educate yourself about this project. Once said that, Josh, there are several other different projects or ecosystems out there. Can you tell us what makes your project, Qredo, different so that the investors can move forward and invest in your project?
Yeah, sure. I think there's a couple of things that we think differentiate ourselves from other projects. One is that we are, from a project founder perspective, from the team underpinning the project, we're all public. So a lot of projects build in anonymity. You don't know who the founders are. You don't know their backgrounds, their track records. We have built this from the very beginning being transparent. And there's a reason for that. When you're building a network that is tasked with securing people's assets, a custodial operation of some kind, an element of trust needs to be created with the folks that use your platform. And just as you would with any other piece of security infrastructure, knowing who's providing that to you, whether it's the company or the individuals behind it, we thought was a key part of that story. So we've been very transparent with who's been building this from day one. And we have, as a team, been fortunate enough to be able to raise a significant amount of capital as we have gone through the process of building this. So, in the last 18 months, we've raised $120 million across a seed round, a token raise, as well as our Series A. So we're an extremely well-funded project that doesn't need the funding from tokens, for example, to continue building the project. So we have extremely solid financial position to be able to continue to build for the long term. We see ourselves as building some of the foundational infrastructure for the Web3 and Metaverse economy. And, we really believe that we're here for the long term. So we have a very long-term model in our tokenomics. We have a long-term model in the way that we build our product. Everything is done with this kind of long-term mentality. So I think a lot of projects you see come to market tend to build in the short term or with short-termism in mind. We're assuming that we're going to be here for 10, 15, 20, 30 years to come, because the infrastructure for the future of Web3 is being built today. So if
Hmm.
someone was to say to you, what do you think you're building? Is it the next Apple, Google, Chrome? One of the discussions we had with people in the community today, which was quite interesting, was, well, we're this weird mix between, a Swift, because we have a settlement network, as well as a Chrome, because we're this foundational piece of infrastructure that people use to access a new market, and that's the digital asset market. So I think there's many things that make us very, very different. But stepping back at the core, I guess, use case, the use case is still a problem in the market: infrastructure that relates to custody and settlement. We all know the problems that exist in various layer one blockchains, with the fees that people pay for gas, with the delays that they see. So a layer two settlement network, it's well understood that that's needed in the market, that's agnostic to the underlying layer one. In addition to that, custody needs to get more secure and scalable. And those are the problems that we're trying to tackle and fix.
Okay, thank you, Josh. I did review your webpage, and I can confirm that yes, it is very transparent. There is the leadership with a small description of the who's who in it. So it's always good to know about the team and really to put a face to it, actually. And about what you mentioned, that you thinking long term. My next question was about the roadmap. I know it's really hard now, today's markets, and it might be restrictions. It's very hard to know what's going to happen in 1 year from now. But in your view, where do you think the project Qredo is going to be in the next 3 years?
Wow, great question. Well, I think the digital asset markets are very young, and one thing that we've learnt building in a young market is that you have to maintain a flexibility in the way that you build your product. If you build to one specific set of criteria, very frequently in crypto you'll get caught off guard. The markets change overnight, the sentiment changes, the needs of the industry change, and so we are very much building with that ethos in mind. So our product roadmap right now is focused on building out the core utility of the Qredo network. So
Okay.
today you can hold your assets in the Qredo network, you can transfer your assets, you can use a layer 2 settlement network, you can swap your assets with known and unknown individuals, a peer-to-peer cross-chain swap. And very soon you'll be able to connect that wallet into the entirety of the DeFi space. Now, right now you can do that via our integration with MetaMask Institutional. So we believe we have the best-in-class institutional market access tool for DeFi that we've built in conjunction with MetaMask Institutional and the Consensus team. Now, we're going to be bringing a number of market access tools to the market very soon that will give every single retail user the ability to use their Qredo wallet, a secure, centralized self-custodial wallet protected with MPC, use that wallet to be able to access the DeFi markets in a completely frictionless way. And we think that that's going to bring a whole new paradigm of security to the DeFi markets that doesn't exist today. Everyone's using these self-custodial wallets that don't have security mechanisms built within them, multi-sig, which is frequently compromised by man-in-the-middle attacks or someone losing an element of their cryptographic information. So we think there's a better way, and that's what we're building towards. Now, that's the short-term plan. The short-term plan is to increase the amount of utility that you can do with your Qredo token. So, for example, as I said, connecting it up with DeFi. But looking forward across year 1, year 2, year 3, it's all about increasing the breadth of functionality within the Qredo ecosystem. So being able to give users that hold their assets in Qredo wallets the ability to, bridge assets, swap assets, access liquidity directly out of the wallet, borrow and lend within the Qredo network without having to ever leave it. The ultimate goal we have is for everybody to be able to stay self-custodial, hold their own assets, but do things like trade, swap, borrow, lend, all without having to expose themselves to counterparty risk. And this is the thing that's so strange about the crypto market today, that we've built this ecosystem of products and services that are fundamentally centralized, using these wonderful, programmable, decentralized assets. It doesn't make any sense. So we want to open up the use cases for decentralized self-custody and make it as usable, if not more usable, than the kind of centralized services you see today. That's the mission that we're on. And in 3 years' time, who knows where we'll be, but we'll be there by this time next year.
Great, great. Yeah, really, really interesting project. Very ambitious. I'm also super curious to know what's going to happen in the next years. But seems you have it all planned out well. From what I read on your website, your team has quite the expertise. So and again, as you said, you already have the funding. So from that part, I think the main issues are already resolved from your side. So, Josh, are you ready then to address the 10 questions that were the winners of the competition?
Absolutely. Let's go for it.
Okay, let's jump on the first one. I'm going to be posting them here. First one is: will Qredo be disbanded as a legal entity once the Qredo network becomes a DAO?
That's a really interesting question. So the DAO structure is one of the most important future milestones we have in our roadmap. It's also one of the most complex. Now, before I get onto why it's complex, I'm going to talk about the structure and the history behind Qredo. So, for us to build what we've built today, which has been built over a 3-year period, we've been building Qredo network for 3 years, and we have been operating the actual Qredo network, i.e. the blockchain and the web-based application people use today, for just under 2 years now. Now, to do that, we've raised a lot of funding, and we've done that funding primarily in a company. So that company is called Qredo. So we've got this entity that has raised significant equity funding to build use cases on top of the Qredo network. So the best example of that is the web-based applications that people use today at Qredo.network. So that company itself is going to remain. But that company is a service provider to, a participant in, a validator on the Qredo network. The network itself, being open source and open code, starts to take a life of its own. And for it to take a life of its own, we need to decentralize it even more. So we need to bring on more and more third-party validators. And we have 2 steps within that. One is called the federated step, where we bring this coalition of the willing, which get on board with us and become third-party validators. And then we open up the floodgates and we let other people join in a completely permissionless, decentralized way. Now, what kind of vehicle needs to support that? Well, there's a combination of us steering it at the helm, but we also want people to be able to contribute via the DAO. If you have a stake in Qredo, you have this utility token, the Qredo token, you will have the ability to be part of the overall journey. And the best way to involve people is through a DAO. Now, what on earth is a DAO? Well, it means a lot of different things to different people. If you ask a lawyer, and I'm an ex-lawyer, and I won't bore people with that, but if you ask a lawyer, they will say DAOs don't really exist. They're just an idea. They don't have a legal status. If you say, well, I don't have a company, I have a DAO, that doesn't mean anything. You can't get an Amazon website, an AWS account with a DAO. You can't get a phone contract with a DAO. So there's all these really innovative things that have been built in places like Wyoming. We've seen this in Caribbean countries that have tried to put a legal framework around a DAO. And so in the US, what we've seen in Wyoming as an example is a DAO being built within an LLC, a limited liability company. So my point here is that we're looking at all the options. And those options are, do we build a DAO within these innovative new legal structures, or do we go for this completely uncorrelated legal entity that doesn't have a status per se? It's a DAO in all names and operations. It exists via the stake that everybody holds in them. And that DAO then becomes the driving force behind the further development of the network. Lots of open questions there. But what we'll be doing is going to the community to ask them for their feedback. We'll be building a separate governance white paper that's going to be coming out in the near future. It's a big piece of work. We're going to be getting a lot of really big brains involved in that process. And it's going to be exciting, but it's going to be challenging.
Hey, great. Indeed, it will be challenging, but I'm sure you guys will be able to do it. Now, the second question is, Coinbase introduced their travel rule solution trust on February 16th. First question is, was Qredo involved? And if not, what does that mean in terms of competition for the travel rule solution that Qredo offers?
Good question. So for those that don't know, Qredo, having this core piece of custody and settlement infrastructure, also has modular dApps that it makes available to its users. The travel rule is one example of that. The travel rule tool, what it does is it enables VASPs, virtual asset service providers. So these is anyone who really operates a business on behalf of clients. So an exchange or a brokerage, those are VASPs. It enables VASPs to share metadata related to a transaction. So where's this transaction coming from? Where's it going to? Where's it been, etc. So that's what the travel rule requires. And this is this kind of global regulatory framework that's being adopted. Now it's live in Switzerland. It's live in Singapore. It's
So
going to be
this will
adopted.
this be a standard thing?
So the travel rule itself is the standard framework that gets
Okay.
implemented at a local country level. So each country will have its own requirements, but there will be this baseline rule or requirement that threads through all of those. So as this question says, Coinbase, alongside many others, so it's a coalition that's been built, launched a thing called Trust. Trust is a framework for the travel rule. Now, the whole point of travel rule solutions isn't necessarily to take all of the travel rule business and put it in one solution. It's a standard that's being implemented, and there are various standards across the industry. Standards as to how data is shared, standards as to how data is stored, how that data is put together, various standards. What we're aiming to do is operate at a layer above that. So whatever standard a user adopts, that's absolutely fine. If they pick the Trust standard, if they pick something that Trissa are doing or Shift Network are doing, that's absolutely fine. But we'll be this meta layer on top of all of that, enabling anyone, regardless of who they have a travel rule service contract with, to be able to use a travel rule service. So we're kind of this meta layer above both. So we don't see it as competition. We see it as accretive or additive to the overall industry. We are very much working with a number of the service providers that are out there today, and it's something that's going to be really interesting to see how the industry adopts it. But it's definitely a hot topic.
Okay, definitely. Personally, I was not aware of this, so this is completely new for me. I do have several questions about this, but I don't want to take time from the other questions that we have ready. So maybe this can be a topic of discussion for another day. Maybe we can make a panel discussion out of it.
Sure.
But definitely super interesting. Now let's go for the third question. Do you have any NFT plans and their integration ahead in the Qredo project roadmap? Also, do you have any passive income options and incentivization reward for a long-term holder?
Good question. NFTs. We have seen so many problems with people holding NFTs in either exchanges or in self-custodial devices and losing them, getting them hacked or getting them taken out of them, a smart contract being compromised. It's unacceptable. NFTs are worth a lot of money in many cases, and they're being secured in a very insecure way. So what we have done is today you're able to custody and hold your NFTs in a Qredo wallet that's connected to MetaMask Institutional. So if you're a MetaMask Institutional user, you can hold your CryptoPunks, your Bored Apes, whatever they may be, in your Qredo wallet today. Now, what we're building at this point is a custodial tool that enables you to send your NFT into a Qredo wallet and to be able to see it in that wallet, but also connect it to different solutions like MetaMask, like Wallet Connect, etc. So supporting NFTs, it's already happening. It's already possible. We just need to make it a bit more user friendly for retail users.
So if I understood correctly, sorry just to interrupt you, but so if I understood correctly, you will be providing custodial services, but in itself is not a marketplace, correct?
It won't be a marketplace. We're looking to work with marketplaces and individual holders as a custodial solution. Bearing in mind it's self-custodial solution, but it's custodial technology we're providing for anyone that holds an NFT. You could be a business, you could be an individual. And today we're providing that services to businesses. Very soon we'll be providing that services to individuals as well.
Okay, perfect. That will be really interesting. Do you have an approximate timeline, or when will that happen?
Yeah, I think realistically, our main focus is on adding more layer one chains at this moment. So we're focusing on adding 10 to 15 new layer ones within this quarter, next quarter, and beyond. I anticipate it to be in MVP probably by late Q2, early Q3. But it will definitely be something that we have on the roadmap for this year because it is a real problem for people. Securing and holding their NFTs is causing a lot of anxiety for people.
Definitely. I think I read like last week that one of the largest marketplaces are having like big headaches because
Yeah,
of the problems that you mentioned.
absolutely. Absolutely. So the second part of that question was about passive income options. What kind of incentives are there for
Yeah.
long-term holders? So first of all, we have a staking program. We have a staking rewards bonus running where people are earning 2 times the normal staking rewards until April. So that's 20.2% APY. So very simple to participate in. All that means is you have to stake your Qredo tokens to be able to participate in that. You just put it into a Qredo wallet in your Qredo account. You don't have to send it to anyone else. You're self-custodying it. So this is self-custodial staking, and you'll be able to enjoy staking rewards of 20.2% APY until April. So one of the things that we're also going to be doing is adding other assets that can be staked in the platform, and the Qredo token will be a core component of that. So keep your eyes peeled for that as well. Now, additionally, we're going to be adding this year the validator program, so bringing third-party validators, which will increase the utilization of the Qredo token. And one of the things that our users are asking for is the ability to pay fees in Qredo tokens. So that's something that we'll be doing in the next probably month or two. You'll be able to pay all of your fees using your Qredo token, and that, of course, is adding more and more utility to it. So yeah, a lot planned.
Okay, great. Thank you for that answer. Number four, bridging an asset is one that annoyed me because it takes a lot of time. How does Qredo make asset bridging easy and fast? As I know, Qredo will offer all EVM chains.
Yeah, bridging is interesting, isn't it? Because sometimes you use a bridging solution and it can take 2 minutes, can take 20 minutes, and you're kind of sitting there going, what's going on behind the scenes? So there is a better way for this, and there's two things here. One is we give people the ability to use solutions, bridges that are in the market today. So the example we have today is connecting a Qredo wallet to MetaMask Institutional. That then enables you to access all of the plethora of DeFi across all EVM chains. And we have one wallet that enables you to hold any asset that is EVM compatible. So any asset that's an EVM compatible blockchain. So that's, I think, nearly 200 or so. You can hold them
Mhm.
all within one wallet, an on-chain layer one wallet, and you can deploy those assets out using Qredo's security, a mobile signing device, which looks and feels like a 2FA, deploy that out into DeFi using this integration we have with MetaMask Institutional. As I said earlier, we're going to be launching a retail-specific tool to be able to do that. So bridging will be easier when you're using a Qredo wallet. So that's something that's coming soon as well. Now, one thing we do also have in addition to that, in the Qredo platform today, you can do a cross-chain swap. And a cross-chain swap is, for example, me saying I have Bitcoin, I'm selling it for a certain price, you have Tether, you want to buy my Bitcoin. If we both have our assets in our Qredo wallets, we swap them instantly.
Yeah, it's a
So
swap.
we're doing a cross-chain swap that happens instantly and settles atomically. So that is live today. So you can do what looks and feels like bridging, but is a cross-chain swap today. Now, what we're going to be doing is plugging that into liquidity sources. So you're going to be able to do that in bigger volumes with less slippage. That's one of the things that's on our roadmap. So we're going to be doing our part in making bridging a little bit easier, but we're going to be giving people the tools to participate in bridging in the DeFi ecosystem today.
Okay. Is that something that's happening right now? It's possible to do it now, or it will
It
be in
is,
the.
yeah, absolutely. Our institutional users that use MetaMask Institutional. So these folks are hedge funds, proprietary traders, brokerages, exchanges, NFT marketplaces. They're using MetaMask Institutional integrated with Qredo, and this is happening right now. Talking about the cross-chain swaps, yes, we have users cross-chain swapping on the platform today. Not a huge amount, simply because it looks and feels like a peer-to-peer marketplace, and so you have to have someone on the other side of your trade. That's why it's so important for us to connect to liquidity sources to be able to make the experience completely seamless.
Okay, great, understood. Thank you for that answer. Let's move on to question number 5. How beneficial is Qredo's organization accounts in managing digital assets?
Okay, so Qredo has always strive to make the management of digital assets as easy as possible for people, from an individual, a family, a small business, through to a really large organization. And the way that we do that is by enabling people to set up wallet structures that are completely customizable and allow them to involve internal as well as external participants. What do I mean by that? So if you have a fund or a wallet and you have a bunch of assets in there, maybe you're a small business that has a couple of people that trade in DeFi or move the assets around, and you have the head of ops, or you have someone that approves all these exits from those wallets. So instead of having to set up this complex multi-sig environment, what we enable people to do is open a wallet, add users to the wallet, and those users have different permissions and different roles. They can approve transactions, they can initiate transactions. At no point is there a sharding of keys to make this happen. It's all supported by the magic of multi-party computation. And it enables people to do complex day-to-day operational stuff without exposing themselves to risk. You can have multiple people involved in the governance of, the oversight of, and the approval of moving assets out of a wallet. So that's really important from an organizational perspective for corporates, entities, SMEs, institutions looking to manage their digital assets. But then at a retail side, if you look at what people do day to day, well, maybe you want to hold your crypto in a secure place, move it out when you need to put it into the ecosystem, but you might also be married and you might also want your couple or your partner on that wallet so that they have access to it as well, or you can approve each other's transactions or whatever your setup might be. Qredo wallet also enables that as well. So from the smallest use case up to the biggest use case, the entirety of the organizational flexibility we've built gives people control as to how they hold, approve, and move their digital assets. That's the whole goal for us. It's to be able to give people more security and control over their digital assets. And it's infinitely scalable. We don't say to people, you can only have 10 people on your account. You can only have 4 approvers. You can make it as complex as you want. And that's really the key for us. It's that flexibility. It's giving people a tool that suits their business.
Oh, that's great. It's almost like they can just tailor make it themselves.
Absolutely.
Make it to
That's
the
the
best
goal.
thing.
Customizable, flexible, and scalable, regardless of what size of organization you are.
That's a big differentiator. I don't think the other systems out there would be able to do that. So that's well done. Question number 6. I hear about the use cases of the Qredo ecosystem, but what are the use cases of the token itself?
Okay. Yeah. So very, very briefly, I've covered this earlier. Today with the Qredo token, it being a utility token, it will very soon be used as part of a community governance program where you will be voting on certain changes, whether it's fees, whether it's on gas, whether it's on withdrawal mechanisms or the next bridge that we integrate with. So it will be a core part of you having a seat at the table with regards to the governance of the network. In addition to that, today you can stake a Qredo token. You stake them with validators, and the validators share the income they receive for their participation and governance over the Qredo network. So there is the ability to hold a token, stake it, and generate staking income through the Qredo token. Now, in addition to that, with the Qredo token itself, you can do things like swap it. You can trade it on over 22 different exchanges. Soon, you'll be able to participate in the more advanced validator program that we have, where new validators come on board and validators start competing for different staked assets, so giving different rewards to different people. So if you stake for a short period of time, you get a bigger reward, or a longer period of time, a smaller reward, but they may be benefits that these validators offer people staking to them. The Qredo token unlocks all of this. Now, in addition to that, if you're a power user, if you're someone that utilizes wallet and settlement infrastructure as a core part of your business, because you're a hedge fund, because you're an exchange, the Qredo token will be the asset that you can use to pay your fees. And if you're paying your fees in Qredo token, you're going to be able to unlock benefits like discounts and in some cases, innovative fee models. So the Qredo token is getting more useful month in, month out, and it's going to remain the kind of core utility asset within the platform.
Okay, great, thank you. Now, the next question I think is one of my favorites. Explain briefly how Qredo solves a $1 billion problem.
$1 billion problem. Yeah, well, you know what? That's even understating it. The problem that we're solving is more than $1 billion problem. If you look at the market cap of crypto assets today, it's significantly larger than that. And so what we're solving is the core foundation of the crypto ecosystem, which is the security and integrity of the custody of your own assets and giving people the complete flexibility in how they hold their assets. This isn't $1 billion problem. This will be $1 trillion problem. If we think crypto is going to eat the world, if we think that more and more asset classes are going to be digitized, if we think bonds will become tokenized, if we think that precious metals are going to continue being more tokenized, if we think central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, are going to come into existence, all of these things, all of these assets, adding to the overall market cap of digital assets, all of these assets need to be held somewhere. And they get held in custodial solutions. And so we're solving what we think is actually $1 trillion problem. We're happy to solve it bit by bit, billion by billion, but we really think that this is a solution that will be unlocking Web3, the Metaverse, and any business that's building in digital assets. So this is a really ambitious project that we have, but it is sorely needed in the market today.
Okay, great. Now, the next question is a little bit what we were talking before about. What different innovations and developments will your project bring to the crypto world?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned briefly earlier, the custody space has been built in this hugely centralized way. There isn't a fully decentralized custodial solution on the market today which involves or invokes MPC, multi-party computation. You've got these multi-sig solutions on the market today, but they're constantly being compromised. They're vulnerable to hacking. So what differentiates us is we are the first decentralized custodial solution on the market today that also integrates multi-party computation, which is this wonderful cryptographic security tool. Our MPC is very different to anyone else's MPC protocol. Lots of the largest players in the market, like Fireblocks, Copper, Unbound, all of these technology providers use MPC, but they use centralized MPC, where they themselves hold a shard of your private keys. We have put MPC onto a network. We put it onto a network of nodes, and we've built the first decentralized multi-party computation network. That unlocks this whole Pandora's box of cross-chain activity and settlements, cross-platform liquidity, interoperability solutions. So really this starts to become more than a custodial solution. This becomes a piece of infrastructure that more or less any participant in the market today can start to use. And that's one of the reasons why we've been so lucky and fortunate in getting a really amazing group of backers behind this, from exchanges like Coinbase and Deribit through to layer one protocols like Avalanche through Avalabs and Terra through Terraform Labs, through to retail solutions like Celsius, Nexo. The list goes on. We've been really fortunate to partner with these investors to build this solution, and for us it is a founding piece of infrastructure that will make a material difference, a real difference to the growth of the crypto ecosystem.
Sounds great. Thank you for that answer. Question number 9. What is the ambition of the project regarding the Metaverse space?
Yeah. Well, the Metaverse is in its really early stages. What we see Mark Zuckerberg showing us, these strange avatars floating around on screen, this is the very beginning of the Metaverse. It's going to get better and better, more usable. It's going to look better, considerably better over time. And it will start to replace or complement certain elements of our lives, whether it's the way that we work with each other, whether it's the way that we socialize, whether it's the way that we game together. The Metaverse is able to touch every single industry, from fashion to gaming through to simple stuff like networking and business. So if you think about it that way, there needs to be a currency within the Metaverse. And what will that currency be? Well, it probably won't be just one currency. It will be a multiple currencies, from tokenized fiat, so stable coins, through to existing digital assets like Ethereum or Bitcoin. These will need to be used in this digital world, digital space that's being built today. And we want to be a key stakeholder in that. So we want to be an infrastructure provider to the metaverse, because the metaverse needs decentralized infrastructure. Because if the metaverse is set to scale and be as big as people say it will be, they need to be using the most robust custodial infrastructure on the market. So we're firmly planting our flag in the infrastructure space for the metaverse, which means we're going to be increasingly working with NFT studios, NFT marketplaces, GameFi studios, so folks building projects that are play to earn, for example. We want to be providing the self-custodial and settlement infrastructure to help underpin all of that. So the metaverse for us is a really big area to expand our scope of services into. As I said, it's the very beginning of the metaverse. We're seeing the first green shoots of the metaverse, and we're very much going to be a part of that.
Okay. Does this mean, better said, this doesn't mean that you will have your own metaverse, right?
No, absolutely not. No, I think
You'll
we're
cooperate
looking
with
to
both.
work with metaverses.
Yeah. Okay.
And the interoperability between metaverses, because this is one of the problems that hasn't been fully thought out today. We're building again these silos of metaverses. Facebook's metaverse, who knows what the Google folks will do, etc. How are these worlds going to interoperate with each other? How are they going to enable you to transfer an asset that you have in one metaverse to another? Right now, if you play a game, for example,
Yeah,
on
you
your
can't
PC,
transfer
you
them.
can't transfer anything, and that's a problem. So you've locked value into these silos of ecosystems. So we think we have a solution that can unlock all of that. But as I said, very early days, but it's things that we're thinking about.
Okay, yeah, no, definitely. I'll be talking with a few metaverse projects, and that is an issue. Yeah,
Mm.
not transferable things. Yeah, definitely. Oh, if you come up with a solution, it'll be fantastic. There'll be a big demand for that. Last question, number 10. What are the benefits of holding your token as a long-term investment? Can you tell us about the motivation and benefits for investors to keep your token in the long run?
Similar theme to one of the questions we've already had. So, again, not investment advice. Do your own research. Really important you understand what it is that you're investing at all times in. Can't comment on short-term or long-term horizons, but what I can comment on is the utility of the token. And the utility of the token is clear. You're able to use it as part of the ever-growing community governance mechanisms that will be launched. You're able to use it for the purposes of staking and generating staking income. It will be unlocking other use cases in the Qredo network in the short term when we launch other staking products. You're able to trade it or swap it against various assets. So for many, it's like having a stake in a growing ecosystem. So this is one of the things about holding a crypto asset for some kind of time horizon. Is it going to be relevant in 6 months or 12 months? Is this going to be a hot project in 6 to 12 months? I can't answer that question. But what I can say is Qredo is building for the long term and is building infrastructure for other long-term participants in the ecosystem. So we have a really long-term horizon. And we think that, if you come along on this journey with us, you'll also be able to be a part of that.
Great, fantastic. And as you said, Josh, it's very important that the viewers learn and take their time, get to know the project, educate themselves. So to all our viewers, please visit Qredo.com. You're going to have all the information there in order to know more the project, get involved, and make a decision. Well, Josh, I think we have finished our questions. And as I said at the beginning of the interview, the name of the winners will be made public in a separate occasion. So, Josh, do you have any final words for our viewers today?
Yeah, thank you. No, it's been a real pleasure being here. Thank you for joining us. At the Qredo Network, we always love to hear from our community, and for folks that are interested in getting involved with us, please do reach out to us on Telegram. Our official Telegram group is Qredo Network. You can find us on Twitter at Qredo Network. You can find me on Twitter at Josh Goodbody. We are an open book, an open door. Please do reach out and share your thoughts with us, and we'd love to hear from you.
Oh, Josh, I think it was really, really informative. I think it was a great show. Thank you very much for providing us such a detailed information about Qredo. To our viewers, thank you also for the questions we did receive live. Unfortunately, due to time, we couldn't make it, but I hope to have Qredo again in a different show, and then we'll post those questions. And well, then to our viewers, I'll see you in the next show. Have a pleasant evening and stay safe. And Josh, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.